Hello again, not from Marco anymore. I'm back in Berlin and we are at my new apartment. We are just about to move in. I don't have any furniture yet except for this shiny lamp, which helps me to film this opener. Today's episode, I was really looking forward to this for quite some time. Interview with IFSC President Marco Scolaris, and he will tell us a lot about the Olympic Games, how climbing got into the Olympic Games, all the complications, and he will also answer your questions. Question. I'm really good at that. So if you haven't seen anything else what happens here at ARCO, for example, the Youth World Championships, the actual reason I was here, check it out, because this is the future of tomorrow, the future climbing champions of the Olympic Games. If we will stay in the Olympic Games, I don't know, but we will talk about it and you will see. If you want to support me, please do that. You can do that on Patreon, so I can do more of these travels, interview more people. And if you still want to know more from Marco Scolaris, let me know, because I can ask him again next time when I'll see him. Thank you so much for joining me, and have fun watching and listening to this video. Bye bye! Hello friends, hello world. Today I'm sitting here with Marco Scolaris, the IFSC president. Can you briefly tell us what it is, being president of the IFSC, and what your goal is with the IFSC?
But being the president means that you have the responsibility and also the legal liability for all the organization. And the role of the president is supposed to be to coordinate all the activities, listen to the voices of all the stakeholders, and sometimes somehow keep a good atmosphere inside the organization, and try to reach the goal that have been fixed by the plenary assembly, which is formed by all the national federations. So that's very basically what I'm supposed to do. And although in many other organizations, presidents are just those who shake hands with the sport authorities and other people, well, at the moment the IFSC is still a small organization. This means that the president has also some practical things to deal with. So, for example, I don't have a personal assistant, so when you have to book the flights, I do it myself.
But you could
which
use
is fine.
You could use a PA, I guess, like a lot of stuff to do, right?
Yeah, but if I ask some of the staff to do that, then they are not doing something else. And as I said, we are really understaffed. Although our staff increased from 2 people to 10, 11 now, well, especially with the commitment of the Olympics, everything boomed. Not only the success, there is also the other side of the medal. Which
you said 2 things, which are stakeholders. What does it mean, stakeholders of the IFSC?
Stakeholders are all those who are active inside the organization. So from one side we have the federations, because the IFSC is a federation of federations. So we have the 90 federations. Then we have, of course, the athletes that we always try to put at the center of everything. Because without athletes you don't have a sport, which is very logical, although not everybody sees this in the same way. Then we have the media, we have the sponsors, we have the organizers, because usually the organizers is the national federations. Sometimes it's not, it's a private organizer. So there are all those people who are involved in the activities of the IFSC.
Another thing you talked about was like your budget. Did it increase as soon as climbing got approved, or are you still working with the old kind of budget?
Well, the interesting thing is that when we founded the IFSC in 2007, the annual budget was about 140,000 euros. It stays like that for many years, and then of course it grew together with the growth of the organization and the sport. And yes, it is true that in the last 2 or 3 years, especially when we started being considered for inclusion in the Olympic Games, it grew quite a lot. So also under the business point of view, I think that we moved from a budget of 140,000 euros to 3 million euros at the moment. So we have been quite successful. Although the big issue for us, being an Olympic sport, is that for the time being we are not sharing the TV rights of the Olympic Games. So that means that all the other sports which are in the program, we share the TV rights after Tokyo. In theory, we will not. And imagine that the TV rights for an international federation could be easily, the minimum could be easily around $10 million. So you understand that it could change a lot.
It could change a lot. On the other hand, like you said, your budget increased. And what do you pay as the IFSC when there's like a World Cup? Do you pay for all the helpers, all the judges, all the?
Yes, exactly. We pay part of the services, and but since the requirements also increase, we are in a moment where actually we try to find a good balance for the future with the organizers, which is not easy. It happens in all international federations, some frictions between organizers and international federation, but I'm quite confident that together we can move on and and we will have better and better events.
We briefly talked about the founding of the IFSC. Did you found the IFSC with the goal of making climbing an Olympic sport?
It is a good question. When we founded the IFSC, it was the 27th of January 2007 in Frankfurt, and we had more than 50 federations attending. And one of the topic in the agenda was, should we go to the Olympics or not? And then unanimously, all the federations said, yes, we want to go to the Olympics.
Cool. So you had an election?
No, we had a sort of declaration, because I must tell you, this was part of the conversation with the IOC at the time, and we agreed that there should have been a sort of statement from our federation. So the question clear on the table was, should we go to the Olympic Games? And unanimously the answer was yes. Then I added another question, say, do you know what this means? They said yes. So I repeat, should we go to the Olympics? Should I take you to the Olympics? Everybody said yes. And then I said, okay, let's go.
At this point, did you, like looking back at this point, did you really know what you kind of like got climbing into it? With the complications regarding which format and stuff like this?
Not really. There are a few points. Personally, I knew what it meant because my background is sport journalist, so I worked for a couple of big sports like skiing, for example. So I know what the Olympic Games engagement is. No, what was totally unpredictable was the time frame, the timeline. You know. So, and I think that eventually we went a bit faster than expected. So I must say, this is honestly in 2007. I saw it as a possibility, maybe in 10, 15 years to be accepted or more, and then actually we were accepted earlier. So
when was your first talk to the Olympic, the IOC?
But we had good relationship with the IOC even when we were in the UAA, so prior to 2007. And I mean, they were looking for new sports. So I remember that already in 2004, 5, 6, some of the officers came and watched sport climbing.
Because I remember 2005 in Duisburg there was the World Games, and I think it was climbing, some other sports who probably could have made it into the Olympic Games. That was before the IFSC was.
Yes, this in fact is interesting because we always talk about the Olympic Games, and of course being accepted in the Olympic Games was part of a long process, including the participation in the World Games. And yes, actually, the World Games were a sort of windows to showcase the sport or sports which were not in the program yet to the IOC, and these were occasion. But also, we had other officers coming and watching just because the World Games is a multi-sport event, really come and watching some of our World Cups and World Championships. Yeah.
An easy question, maybe hard to answer. How come we ended up with the combined format?
But yes, in fact, it's an easy question because the true story is that from the very beginning the IOC said, don't expect if the door opens, don't expect to have more than one medal in the beginning. It's impossible. So of course inside the IFSC at the time it was basically 3 or 4 people. It was myself, Jérôme Meyer, it was Leslie Baxter, and Francesca came a few years later. So we had some discussion, we had some conversation with other federations, and the feeling was, okay, maybe we propose lead. If you have one medal, we propose lead because this is the queen of our discipline. But then in 2012 we had the World Championship in Paris. And then we have the visit of 2 high-profile members of the program commission of the IOC, and they were so impressed by all the disciplines that they said, "Well, we recommend that you don't leave a discipline behind." Why? Because he said, if you get one medal, the Olympic cycle is 4 years. This would mean that all the other disciplines will be forgotten. They will not get funds from the National Olympic Committee for the preparation, etc., etc. And then they also expressed their, they were convinced that the easy discipline was speed. They said
the easiest discipline
to understand and to propose to the public, because they immediately saw the comparison. This is the vertical 100 meter, etc., etc. And I understood another point, because they say, okay, they are pushing speed, they have speed in their mind, but speed is something. Well, also here I must tell you the whole story, because this story of speed is not part of our culture, etc., etc., is going on and on and on. But I think it was 2002, something like that. We were still in the UAA, and I asked all the federation, should we keep speed or not? Because if the majority or unanimously say speed is not historically disciplined, and then the large majority of federations said we need to keep speed. So what we have done over the years has always been a democratic process. Because if at that time, the majority federation had said no, you're not interested. So anyway, the other point that I wanted to mention is that we should understand why for the IOC speed was so important. Because imagine they have to put a new sport in the program, and they receive the criticism of all the other sports, because of course they don't want to share the space, the limited space. And if they propose a discipline or a sport or something that is difficult to understand or to measure, then it's harder. Speed is so simple.
Speed is easy to say.
It's like swimming. It's like track and field, and so we had again an internal discussion, and we said, okay, so we keep the 3 disciplines together, in the perspective to show them all, and then increase the medal for the next edition. Unfortunately, the Olympic Games take place every 4 years, so you have to wait a long amount of time. And yes, but then the problem was how we combined the 3. So it was, and this was really complicated, and I must tell you, we didn't run very, properly the process. So there was internal discussion with the athlete, with the etc. But it was quite hard. So there was frictions. So eventually we found an agreement, and this is what we have today. And I must tell you that it's going better than expected. At least under the show point of view, it's really exciting. So the real issue in those days was we were not able to communicate to everybody why we had to do it. Because also we could have proposed one discipline or 2 disciplines, but then, and this is in the Olympic Charter, then it's the IOC which decides. And very likely, I mean, we don't have the guarantee, but very likely they would have chosen speed.
I'm pretty sure they would have chosen speed because it is, for someone who's not into climbing, it's the easiest to understand, and it's really enjoyable. Like watching speed here live for the first time.
Yeah,
I was just like, I'm not watching speed finals, and then I worked upstairs, came down, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Because it's unpredictable, like a 100 meter track or field, false start, and everything you want, and sooner or later maybe you have these duels, Michael Johnson against someone else, just like the story, and it's easy to measure, and the track is the same as well.
Exactly.
But the commitments you had to do with the IOC, for example, I heard 8 starters in the finals because they are hoping for more nations.
Well, it's complicated, you know. It's again also for us was difficult to manage because it was the first time. So actually, and then of course when you go into the Olympic Games, you move in a completely different world. The Olympic Games are an event that involves, in the case of Tokyo, 33 sports. And 33 sports with more than 300 events. So they are awarding 300 medals, you know. And all in 17 days. So all in 17 days. So and everybody is trying to take the most from this event, including television. So of course the best for us would be to have at least one of the last section, the last leg of the combine, which is lead, live, because then of course your audience immediately increased drastically. And so we started talking with OBS, which is the Olympic Broadcasting Service, because the IOC produces the picture, like us, well, with other means, of course. And they looked favorable to. But then they had the problem that the problem for them was that the six athletes was a bit too short. And so they proposed to increase to 8. So we consulted the athlete, we consulted the federation, because it changes a little bit the chance. It increases a little bit the chance for the speed climbers, you know, because with 6, this is true. So they have one more option to win the gold medal in case they. But there was really almost a general agreement to go for it. So this is the reason. The television asked for a longer final if possible. So that's what we did. Yeah.
But at the same time, the amount of boulders gets lowered.
But boulder will never go on. It will be very difficult that it goes live.
So right now we are just going for hopefully lead. Okay, cool.
We are focusing. We really hope to have at least one of the 2 live. And if we are really good and we sell all the tickets, for example, maybe we have 2. But this is the length, the amount of time that the OBS ask us to.
So there won't be an IFSC stream because the Olympic television rights belong to the. So we will not have all disciplines live on the internet.
No. We will. No. Actually, you have to on the Olympic channel. You will have the choose of everything. But TV, I mean, because the IOC sells the TV rights, and then they decide here. Then television can ask for a special sport, but in the official program, likely we will. Also you need to have the satellite for you. It's a complex thing.
Do you still know, like from your background, some people working in the television industry who work in the for the IOC?
Yes, and this also shows the complexity because. Actually, the OBS, Olympic Broadcasting Service, hires different television for different sports. In our case, we will have the Chinese television, CCTV, covering the sport climbing events. So that we started already with CCTV working, the last China Open. Then they came to one of our World Cup this year, and then they will come again to the China Open this year. So it means that you have a crew of 150 people coming with all the cranes, cameras, etc., working on graphics, because then you have to connect the graphics to the ORIS, which is the result service. So it's not ours anymore. There is a special and the manual of the result service is 150 pages, etc., etc. No, but it's really a complex thing. And last but not least, for example, you have to deal. I mean, for the time schedule, you have to deal with the heat, of course, which is a major issue. But also, you have to combine other events because of this first experience of urban cluster. We are in a place where actually close to us there is beach volley.
Yeah.
And then, so...
It's going to be outside, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the problem is that you have all the finals of these different sports at the same time, and they all finish at 10 o'clock in the evening. People, before they get home, will be 5 o'clock in the morning. So you can say thank you. So you see, it's really...
It's not easy. It's really
not easy. It's really complicated. That's why we go to Tokyo at least. We have a total of 10 visits before the games. We have been there 6 times. And it's and again, especially for us, it's the first time. There are many things that we don't see or we cannot see. And then, bam. No, we are lucky. We are lucky because we share the venue with basketball, 3-on-3. So they start, and then we follow. And so they are experienced because FIBA is one of the traditional sports in the Olympic Games, and they help us a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
They help us a lot. And then, last but not least, we are lucky to be in Japan because. Well, there are other difficulties because of the mentality and our mentality as well. You know, you need to combine 2 different mentalities, but they really love the sport.
Yeah, that's something that's really good for climbing. That Japan itself is like a climbing nation.
Yes, it has become a climbing nation. It's true.
Maybe like their sport where they look for the most, or they aim for the most gold medals. Like I don't know, judoka and stuff like this.
But, yes, for sure. But there is another side of the story that is really impressive for me. Is the number of good Japanese climbers, and I think that this is because. This is because of the structure of our sport. We all climb together in the gym. And I suspect that some friends of Tomoa, Akio, Mio, they saw their friend climbing, they saw the same winning, and they said, well, not much worse, so maybe I can try. So everybody's out. Everybody is competing. All the good climbers are competing. And Europe has to follow this, because I'm sure that also in the big countries, they have plenty of amazing climbers, but maybe they don't even think that competing could be interesting, or they can achieve some good results.
I think we're coming. We talked a lot about the change of the format of the competition style into the combined. Again, you talked exactly to the federations, because I think you were under a lot of pressure from the IOC to get things done and to change climbing like it is. But obviously, you cannot climb to all the competition climbers out there. So exactly there, I know there's a committee of climbers. And did you talk to them before?
Yes, we have a structure that try to be as much transparent as possible. So we have an athlete commission. Actually, we had the election of part of the athlete commission in Tokyo, in Achoji. And this athlete commission, and actually I succeeded having 2 members of this athlete commission in the board, a man and a woman. So we are the only international federations in the Olympic program, together with skiing, the FIS, to have these 2 members. And I'm happy that it was approved unanimously. So the Athlete Commission will have to elect soon the female member of the board. So these 2 athletes fit on the board with the right to vote, and they discuss, approve or not approve the thing. But there is another process which is through the technical commissions. And again, in the technical commission, the athletes have 1 seat by definition, by default. And all proposals usually go through these commissions, and in this commission you have members for a variety of national federations. And then when they find an agreement, then it goes to the executive board, and the board approves it. And also the calendar is follows this procedure and the rules, everything.
Okay, and then the changes of the format go public, or do you talk to the route setters first as well, or do they get a message?
No, we talk with everybody. Again, after the experience for Tokyo, for sure, for Paris, we do it in a better way. Because now we have also to decide how to manage the new combine. And also there is another big question mark, is what we do with the combine we have in Tokyo. It will disappear, we keep it as a 4 disciplines. Now, let's not forget another point, that the intention is, of course, to be a program sport in the Olympic Games, but there are other events, like the World Games, where actually we could keep some disciplines which are not in the Olympic Games. So there is really a world of possibility, opportunity should be considered.
You said better, like what you could do better. What do you think didn't you do that good in the process which just happened?
As I said, we were not able to inform of the background of the decision on having the combine, in this creating some misunderstandings. And I mean, we sometimes, because again, it was and it is a small organization, so many thousands of things to take care of. We were not able to involve everybody at the same moment. So maybe it was in different moment, and some people had the feeling they were left behind or forgotten, and then nobody was happy.
Did you get some coaches calling you in the office?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's still. I hope that this won't change. It's still a sort of family. And we call each other, and we complain and things. So there are no barriers. At this point of view, there are no barriers.
I had the question. I asked people to ask questions, and one of them was like, "Okay, what's going to happen 2024? We know now you will split the disciplines in 2024. There will be one medal for speed and one for boulder and lead combined. And for me, I have 2 questions regarding this. On the first hand, why? And on the second hand, because we didn't test the combined Olympic yet, so we don't have the opinion of the audience. And on the other hand, it's like, are we, as the IFSC World Cup events, World Championships, following always what's happening at the Olympic Games? Because I have the feeling right now that the value, for example, of the World Championship 2019, of course, we have world champions, but in the end, it was the main reason for the people to go there was to go to the Olympic Games. Yeah. And in some years, we will have forgotten who became world champion in 2019, because on the other, it just feels for me to lose same.
Yes.
Okay, that was 3 games, 3 questions. Let's start. Well,
it's a very good point. That I must admit that we haven't seen it. I mean, we haven't seen this issue. And so, also for organizational reason, we put the qualifications of the combined and the classic world championship. I don't think we will do it again. And also now we watch other sports, and let's put it in this way. I think that in the future the world champion will be kept, but the qualifying tournament will happen in other places, another time.
And did you think about it, whether you want to keep the combined world championship like it is right now?
This is a question on the table.
Okay.
That's why I say I don't know. We cannot say which future the combined will have in the next years. Because again, it worked well, and many people train for that. So maybe there are some good reason to keep it. But there will be an open discussion and see how it goes.
And why did you decide to split it already? Or like, how come you can decide right now without being
about Paris? But our hope was to increase the medals, and we did it. Did it. It is the only of the new sport which is getting because moving from 1 to 2 medals is 100% increase. So it's not just a small thing; it's a big thing. Also, the athletes are almost double. But it went with the main issue before was to combine speed with the others. So automatically it went in that direction, and this will give the possibility to go a little, I say, back to tradition. The problem now is how we combine bouldering and lead. Clearly, the goal, and everybody knows, is then in Los Angeles to have 3 medals, and then the 3 disciplines recognized as a single discipline.
Something I thought about and we spoke about briefly when we walked over here was like when we think about Olympic sports, when I think about Olympic sports, it's we're doing like one thing and it's really easy to measure or really hard to judge what's happening. And my favorite discipline is bouldering. I'm a route setter only for bouldering right now, and I stopped lead climbing at all. But I have to admit that speed climbing is easy to understand, and lead climbing is also easy to understand. Are you afraid that the IOC could argue that bouldering is too complicated and has to get kicked out of the program?
Yes, I am. We know that our weakest discipline is bouldering, although I'm a boulder in my early years. Well, I would put in this way. We try over the year to change the format and many things. We launch different working groups, also with experts coming from a different world, not necessarily inside the IFSC. And I saw many proposals on the table, but then when they had to, let's say, to resume and to make a real proposal, then they stopped. So it looks like, I think there are 2 possibilities. One is that nobody wants to take the responsibility of a big change, or we cannot change because the bouldering is dead. And if we cannot change, or if we don't to change, we have to accept the consequence. And the consequence could be honestly that the IOC says, you have 2 medals, but you keep 2 medals and bouldering stays elsewhere. But again, it's as far as the community, as far as we all agree on this, it would not be the end of the world, because we will keep on having the World Championship in bouldering, our World Cups, and probably in the World Games, etc., etc. Because after all these years, the only thing we have been able to change is to put the bonus before the attempts. And endless discussions, now we have to change all the good willings, and then nothing. So again, maybe it's not possible. Maybe we don't want, but yes, you are right. I suspect that one of these days. In Lausanne, they ask me, bouldering is so nice, but as long as we don't understand anything. It's like routesetting, We always criticize, of course, the men's final in Achaji was not the best event ever, but it was really awful. Maybe it's not possible to have a reasonable guarantee of the success of bouldering. And then you have to accept it. And then you say, you're right, for lead is easier. For lead is easier because even when not everything goes in a perfect way, you have action, constantly action. And especially today with the volumes, movement and so on, the routes are spectacular, so people enjoy them. In bouldering, the bouldering, you have the climber following the first 2 movements and then waiting 1 minute on the mat. Then I can imagine the first time the television is happy, they put some commercials, but after 30 seconds they cannot put a second commercial and then a third commercial. So again, we have to consider, we want to change. Can we change? If we can't, we'll see. Maybe for the IOC will be fine, but the problem is not only the IOC, it's also television, generally speaking, and sponsor, etc., etc. But we know.
So right now, We have the Olympics coming up. We don't know how it works or like how it will turn out, and at the same time we are working towards a new format. But we are looking back, and we still don't know how the next World Championship will be happening in which format, right?
Yeah, actually, the next World Championship 2021 will be in Moscow. It's already been decided.
One question, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt
Yeah.
you there, because usually it was 18, 20, 22. Why again 1 year after? Why not like having the World Championships like every 4 years in the gap between the Olympic Games, like multiple other sports?
No, it's well, because traditionally we had it every 2 years. Then of course we had to move from odd years to even years because of the Olympics. Because for us it would not be possible to organize the two things. It's an option on the table, and why not? So we have at the moment, I think that we will not change until 2023 because we have candidate for 2023. And we will make the selection next year for 2023. But then I think that many things will need to be reconsidered, including the Youth World Championship, because you saw here we decided to reduce the country quota, but rather than decrease, the number of athletes increased because more countries participated, which is good. But you see, we are close to the limit, and also I think that the World Cup system will be reconsidered. We would like to, we created the IFSC, the system where actually we try to give more space and responsibility to continental councils, and so far we haven't succeeded. Europe has been able to develop themselves, but not sufficiently, and the others are a bit late. So we have to reconsider how to manage our event in the future.
How's South Africa going for the Continental Championship to send one of the athletes to the Olympic Games?
Yes, it's a bit complicated because basically you have to deal also with the National Olympic Committee of South Africa. It's a bit complicated. It will probably be a small event, but the IOC insisted to have an event in Africa, so we will do it. Yeah.
And looking at America and Pan American Championship, do you think it's fair?
But also this is an interesting story because in the beginning we had two subcontinental councils. Then we decided to put it together. We know we have this is another weakness we have. We lost one of the leading countries in South America. It was Venezuela. And without a leading country, a point of reference in South America, you don't see any progress. We tried with Ecuador, but it didn't work. So, yes, to put together the different realities sounds strange, but this is the way it is at the moment.
So if, for example, one country from South America, for example, let's take Chile, and I know they have like Alejandra who made bronze here, so the first medal, and she's growing up and going into the senior category next year, so they have to work towards the Youth Olympic program and the Senior Olympic program. When would you start considering splitting these two continents again, like into North American and Southern American?
I think that it's not only that. That's why we had this workshop yesterday, and we are working on a strategic plan of the IFSC for the next year. The reason why we haven't done it yet is because I thought it was premature before we had almost the certainty to be in Paris. Because if you are Olympics, it's one thing. If you are not Olympics, it changes a lot. Now we are almost sure to be in Paris. So time has come. So this is and the strategic plan will likely include also a review of the IFSC structure, because what we built in 2009, because actually the structure was heavily reviewed in 2009. Maybe it's not good anymore. I see everything changed.
Yeah, that's something like I think we should agree on that. It's like climbing itself as a competition sport is so young.
Yeah.
We've gone a long way. Like first international climbing championship I was 2005 in Munich, and just comparing Munich 2005 to 2014 and then to 2019 in Hachioji, it's such a big step. And
it's another world. It's really another world.
It's crazy. I have a couple of questions people just asked me. Question number one, David Nordenoft. Does the IFSC have guidelines for setters? Are the setters guiding where modern climbing is going, or does the
I mean,
IFSC?
for route setting.
Yeah.
It's a question of the day, clearly. Well, we had I participating in a meeting of the Athlete Commission in HOG, and yes, we agreed to start working on guidelines. So it's something for the future. It's I think that without limiting the freedom, the artistic freedom of the route setter, we need to have point of reference. Also to protect the route setters and make their life easier. Yeah.
Because let's put it out there one more time. Climbing is the only, or bouldering, even lead, is the only sport which is going into the Olympic where the course kind of changes every time.
Yes.
Of course, like we have a ski, what's it called, a ski track.
Yes.
But they do it like again and again and again.
See, but they have guidelines, huh? Even in skiing, because people say usually it's done by coaches of different teams. Oh, they do whatever they want. No. Even in downhill or slalom, giant slalom, super giant, they have guidelines. They're quite strict guidelines.
Okay.
Yes.
He also asked changes to the point system. What is your opinion? You briefly said that the bonus zone system changed. Could you be? What's your opinion on it?
It's honestly I don't have a real opinion, because every time again, this is a family, and I think that we really trust each other. And but even inside the family, you can have different ideas. And there are different ideas here, but they are all good because we are climbers. You know what we are talking about. So it's. I mean, again, at the end of the day, either we decide to change, or we decide not to change, which fine. I think there are many options on the table which sound good. But in this discussion, I think it would be interesting to involve external people, for example, television people. Actually see how they. And then also because, we always say that, for example, the athletes try to protect the status quo, etc., etc. It won't be the case. It was not the case when we changed, for example, the qualification from, we tried. There was quite 50% of the climbers who said, let's try, and we did it, it worked, So here we are more reluctant, but let's see. I think there are many options on the table which make sense.
So for example, looking at the USA system, do you think it's easier to understand?
You mean to count the holes?
Yeah.
It's
a question. Like I honestly think it's a weird system, because it's, as mentioned before, it's really hard to understand bouldering right now, and this system is even harder to understand because you have to include every climber, every attempt, right?
Yes and no, in the sense, I think you pointed out before we started the interview. It depends also how far we want to go with keeping the links with practicing or climbing in the nature. It is true that nowadays, even the movement you find in bouldering, you will never find on rock. so maybe we have to reconsider it. Then, if the perception from outside is that bouldering is just a short lead, then maybe they say, why we need bouldering as an additional discipline. This is just freewheeling, Maybe not, because actually it's different. The kind of movements can be completely different.
Another question: why is climbing in the summer sports and not in the winter games?
Because it's not practice on summer on ice and snow. Actually, I think it was about 15 years ago when Jacques Rogge took the presidency of the IFSC. His idea and others' idea was to open the Winter Games a little bit. Why? Because there is space there. There are 7 sports. I can't remember how many events. And especially at night, they have just few little activities. They have ice skating, but that's all. Okay, but they can have more. But in order to achieve that, they would have changed the Olympic Charter. They say that in winter, only sport practice on ice and snow can participate. And this was rejected. So was not accepted. So at the moment, there is no chance to get into the.
I prefer the summer games. These are from real life, but it's cool. How many climbers can each country register for Toulouse?
I hope not to say some bullshit. I think two. Or I think two.
I will try to look it up as well.
It's in the info sheet of Toulouse. But minimum two, maybe it's three. But I can tell you later. So I'll show you. But it's so complicated, huh?
Yeah.
Especially again because it's the first time and wow.
Not easy to do. Why are there no air-conditioned venues?
Okay, so this goes back to when we were admitted in Tokyo, and one of the options was to be inside. However, there were two problems. One problem was that the Olympic Games are assigned 7 years before the event. So we entered the Olympic Games 2 years later. At that moment, most of the venues were already allocated. So this was very practical. On the other side, the IOC wanted to test something new called the urban clusters. And they wanted to regroup what they consider urban sport almost in the same place. In fact, in the beginning, we were supposed to be together with skateboarding, but then for some cost reason, we decided to go with 3-on-3. I know. No, the problem was that we wanted to have a floor for the audience, and if you had so there were some crazy ideas of cover. So no. So yes, we were aware, and we are aware of the heat. However, I think that the climbers can go to Tokyo when the Olympic Village open. We are at the end of the Olympic Games. So they will stay 2 weeks in Tokyo beforehand. I think it will be nice to get used to the heat. So they're not, we don't like the heat as climbers, but this time I think at the end will be okay.
Route setters know it, and conditions for the competitors are same. I think this question was also aiming for why aren't all the World Cups in a venue with an AC? I think that's just impossible.
Just impossible, but also, we have, for example, we have this in Europe. We have these two events, Villars and Chamonix, 3 events, and Briançon. We take the risk. We take a lot of risk, actually. And but it's our tradition. Why to change? Well, of course, Chamonix is especially this year with 12,000 people and the Mont Blanc, the sunset, etc., etc. It's really magic. You go to places where you run some risk, but you are so welcome. You feel so welcome there that maybe someday it will change, but maybe not.
For Munich, for example, the Olympia Stadium, sometimes it's really warm and really hot, and maybe not fair or really hard for the route setters to deal with the conditions. But it's a magical place, and it's also for the Munich World Cup, for the organizers, really hard to find another place where they can fit, where they can get the venue, because all these venues are booked out like years before. It's not easy to change.
For people, older people like me, they have memories of the Olympic Games. Unfortunately, tragic Olympic Games, but also Olympic Games. And for the youngest, it's really nice. That's why. As far as we can, we should keep these locations rather than having other maybe better, but a bit anonymous.
Who is forming the committee that will choose one athlete per gender to the Olympics? I think this is like the
tripartite. So it's the committee is formed by IOC, IFSC, and organizing committee. We didn't use it in Buenos Aires, so we just received a list of countries that are eligible.
Is it only for some countries? I interpreted
only for some countries.
Crazy! I interpreted it for example, Adam Ondra doesn't make it to the Olympic Games, but we want to have our most famous, so he gets.
I don't think Czech Republic is in the list.
Okay.
So it's mostly for developing countries. Or honestly, if you see the list, I don't want to mention specific countries because it's not fair. There are some countries I don't understand why they are there, but there must be a reason for that. I think it is done I mean, my feeling was it was only for developing countries. It appears like is for countries that might have difficulty for economical, geographical, or other reason to qualify an athlete. And so we have to go through these countries, understand whether there is a climbing activity in one or more of these countries, the athletes. But attention, our rule says that the person we decide to appoint should have had to participate in the World Championship. So I suspect that the tripartite will be reallocated to the World Championship ranking.
Okay.
This is in the rules,
This is in the rules.
But this is, we need to go through the process, and in any case, we have to wait until, I think, the very end of the process, because I suspect the decision will not be taken before June of next year. But we can speculate.
The list of these countries, is it public? Or?
It's a good question. We receive it. We can ask the IOC whether we can spread it around. I think so because it's for all the sports, so it should be. And then the other point is that there is the country quota for Japan, but this is gone already. Because,
One last question from the public. Any plans from Melanie? Any plans to prevent athletes from stepping on bolts or signs?
Yeah, it's really a tragedy. You know what happened, and same as what happened with the advertising. You know, in advertising. Yes, actually, we try to move a little bit, to shake a little bit the industry, and we asked them to propose a different way of putting the safety points. Could be a cable coming out from there and the sling, so no hanger anymore. No, because this unfortunate that. Of course, Adam couldn't qualify yet, but there is also a risk for safety, because if you fall with your shoulder, you don't have really on the hanger, then
but it's more
like a razor, no?
Yeah, but it's more or less a problem of the wall builders that they are. On the other hand, like the route setters don't know. The route setters, they have a wall, but they don't know before they arrive where the routes are going to be and which lines they need to.
Yeah, you know the way the wall are constructed nowadays, the hangers are in fixed position because they have to be linked to the structure, and so if you want to remove the bolt, it takes a long time. So we need to review this. And unfortunately, sometimes you need some kind of things in order to speed up the process.
To make it even more fair in the Olympic Games, I think there are like two things which are hard to understand for the public. It's like shoes and chalk, where I think it's not that hard to like cheat or whatever. I think there are like chalk companies which have resin in it, and I heard that the IOC already asked for some. Like maybe it can get even more fair there, that only one kind of chalk is allowed. But when it comes to the holes, what are the plans regarding the holes?
The plans are clear. We move in the direction that other federations have followed, to have a sport equipment catalog. So only in the future years you will see that on the field of play you can have only this kind of equipment which is approved by the IFSC. And part of this catalog is macros, holes and volume. So I think that by the end of the year we will have the T20, there will be the catalog of holes used for Tokyo 2020. So everybody will have at least 6 months to get those holes, volumes and macros and train on them.
Okay.
So we try to figure out which was the best way to guarantee equal conditions to everybody, and so this will be declared, and that will be the T20 catalog. And we wanted to do it earlier, but we wanted to do it already for the World Championship in Achoji, but we were not ready. So
okay. And these holes can be used, but they don't have to be used. The route setters are still free.
No. For Tokyo, only those. It's
those
quite a big catalog. Only those. So there won't be any surprise. Maybe they will combine in a strange way. You know?
It's still our route setters.
But yes. No, we cannot have someone who in theory doesn't know the holes.
I think that's it for me so far. We talked about a lot, and I think, and I hope you got better insight about where climbing came from, where we are right now, and what your job is and what the IFSC did so far. So thank you so much.
My
Marco,
pleasure.
for
I hope we
joining.
have, we started from this year to meet the community more and more. And this is actually what the president is supposed to do, to talk to the family and explain what's going on. And we hope we can do it even more often in the future, before the Olympics and after the Olympics.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Whoa, you're still there. That is amazing. So thank you for watching. Our next video will also be about the youth category. I don't know which category yet, but I will link it here as soon as it is ready. So thank you again, and if you have any more questions, drop them here. Otherwise, you can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and there will be more videos about actual real life settings soon as well. Once I'm done with Arco and I moved in here properly and have time to work again. Drill, drill, drill. Stay calm, keep parkour, and do whatever you want. Rock climbing, competition climbing. Bye bye.